Jules Verne science fiction Spanish chocolate card set. Hi, I'm Gary Levisi, and we're going to do something a little different this time. Um, this is a card set, which non-sports card set, which is about 100 years old. It came out in the 1920s, and they're Spanish. And what it is a 42 card set of Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon. The story starts off, just to remind people, is that it takes place in Baltimore in the United States after the Civil War. And Barbicane, who was the president of the Gun Club of Baltimore, embarks upon an idea where they figure that if they get a cannon large enough, they can shoot a projectile far enough that they can actually, and if it's big enough, get to the moon. And so that's the plan that goes into effect. It's Jules Verne's. This is a card set based on Jules Verne's early science fiction novel from the 1850s, From the Earth to the Moon. Jules Verne is the father of science fiction. He was around way before Hugo Gernsback, way before even H.G. Wells and everybody else. And this card set is a Spanish set of 42 cards from the 1920s. What happened is while in Britain and the United States, cigarette companies put out small little card sets. Some of them were baseball players or famous sports figures. Others were different things. We already took a look at some of them. One of them in the Winthrop Press series of little books that were given out in 1914, put in cigarette and cigar packs. In Spain, they didn't do that. What they did, though, they had a lot of chocolatiers, or chocolate makers, and bakeries and pastry stores and places like that really sold a lot of chocolate and made chocolate bars. And they would make the card sets for these chocolate bars. So I'm pretty sure that the way it worked is that you would buy a chocolate bar, and in the bar was one of these cards. And in this case, it's From the Earth to the Moon. But there were also other card sets. There's a Sherlock Holmes card set that's very rare. There are other sets that have to do with different wars and things. And all the art on these is pretty interesting. It's very they're chrono cards. They're colorful. They have interesting art that harkens back to around the turn of the century, and it's really pretty cool stuff. Something you've never seen before. So, without further ado, we're going to take a look at Spanish card set from 1920s, 42, and here we go. This is De la Tierra a la Luna, From the Earth to the Moon. The cards are all numbered in the corner. Number 1, number 2. This is the title card showing the trajectory and the aiming to the moon. This is Barbicane, who is the president of the Gun Club, who initiates the journey, sending, building the giant cannon with the projectile that will go to the moon. This is from the Jules Verne book that came out way over 100 years before we ever went to the moon in 1969. It was probably published in the 1850s, and this set is from the 1920s, which is about 100 years ago. They're all in Spanish. The back covers, the back of the cards list in Spanish something about about what the card represents as far as in the book. So I'm going to just show the cards one at a time, give you an idea. I hope you enjoy them. I think it's a really, really cool set. It's a very rare set. This is card number 3. Card number 4 shows this is the beginning of the scheme to get to the moon, where the Barbicane and the members of the gun club are meeting and talking about their plan to go to the moon. This is card number 5. Card number 6, the target, what the moon looks like. Again, the back covers are all the same, so I'm not going to show you the backs on them, and they're in Spanish anyway. But just to show you, here's the card number 6, the target, the moon. Card number 7 gives you a whole, with the sun here, a whole phases of the moon, phases de la luna, and kind of, again, targeting on the moon. Card number 8 is the gigantic gun, the gigantic cannon that's going to be used. Card number 9 is the factory that's going to be making the capsule. Card number 10, again, the factory. Card number 11, more of the factory. At this time, it was, especially when Verne was writing, the Industrial Revolution was just beginning, and this was the height of science fiction. Factories like this that with great smokestacks and billowing smoke into the atmosphere. They didn't think of pollution in those days, and giant machinery and all of that was something that looked like it was to people progress and industrialization, and it was something that the people celebrated. And here in card number 12, the members of the gun club who are going to go to the moon celebrating. They're toasting and hoisting their glasses. Card number 13 gives you an idea of here's the capsule going to the moon. The idea of a capsule and then kind of like a train in space, where you would have cars attached to it, and it would be pulling the capsule would be pulling the one shot out of the cannon toward the moon. Very cool idea. Card number 14 shows the capsule. This is again something that was done in the United States in Baltimore, so it's American flag and the French flag. And this is a famous. This drawing was also used in the earlier black and white soundless movie that was made. Silent movie that was made of this story, probably 20 years before, maybe around 1900. So that's an image that you might recognize. Card number 15 is a more detailed look at the capsule, with the men working on it and going over it. You see the opening here where they can go inside. Number 16 shows you again the gun in a position ready to fire, and the men down here, so you can see how huge this cannon is. Funny thing is like these are the size of the cannons, the big Berthas that were used in World War I. They were these giant cannons were on the backs of railroad cars. Number 17 is really cool. It just gives you an inside view of what the capsule looks like. It's kind of like a Victorian era library almost. You can see everything's very cushioned, brocaded, or very comfortable Victorian era appearance. Card number 18, we have the capsule being positioned for launch. It's being lifted up, it's wrapped in chains, again, here's the capsule and here's people down here. You can see how big the capsule really is. Card number 19 is the blast off, and the capsule's shooting through space or through the atmosphere. Card number 20, again, the the capsule is flying through the atmosphere. Card number 21 is the mouth of the cannon after it's fired the capsule. Card number 22, inside the capsule there's some problem. Card number 23 shows the two dogs that were brought along on the mission. And now I'm going to move these just a little bit, and we're going to look at the rest of the books, the cards in the series. Card number 24 is the travelers, space travelers with the dogs in the capsule. Card 25, one of the dogs is lost from the capsule. The door is opened in space, presumably between the Earth and the Moon, and the guy's got his head out there, and he's either the dog is jumped or is thrown out or whatever. Kind of interesting how they, Jules Verne and them thought of space, and that there's no way to open up a capsule while it's traveling to the moon and stick your head outside to see what's going on or to try and get the dog. Number 26, they're celebrating. One of the dogs is still alive. Number 27, they're having a grand old time in that capsule. They're celebrating. One guy's upside down, another guy's playing a I don't know what it is, a ukulele or a lute or something. They have a bottle they've thrown. Having a grand old time in the capsule. Maybe it's just the weightlessness. If I don't know, but I don't know if Verne knew. Yeah, I guess he did know about weightlessness because, well, at least in the card number 29, it does appear that there's weightlessness because they seem to be up off the floor. So that's interesting.
I guess they have oxygen.
They have oxygen, yeah. Number 29, the capsule is nearing the moon.
With the windows open.
With the windows open, and the guy's looking outside to see the moon. Of course, that's quite logical. Really cool. It's unbelievable. This is from about 100 years ago.
Science fiction.
Science fiction, fantasy, and card number 30. Number 30 is showing the guys inside the capsule again, looking out the window at the moon as they approach the moon. Card number 31. Again, they're looking at the moon. There's a map of Luna here, and they have a telescope, and they're looking, each over each other's shoulder to see what they can see. Card number 32.
It's gonna be an odd landing.
They approach the moon, and it's a big kind of explosion or whatever happens there. Card number 33. They're probably preparing to touch down. Card number 34. Again, preparing to touch down, just about ready to hit the ground. Card number 35. I guess they touched down. Big explosion. Or soon to be there. Card number 36. I don't know. Maybe they haven't gotten to the moon quite yet, but they're just about there. Card number 37. They're in the descent toward the lunar surface, and they're probably being pulled back by gravity. Card number 38. They're still on the way to the moon, I guess. So I don't know if they ever get there. I'm wondering. Well, maybe it's maybe they went to the moon. They went around the moon,
and
then they came back. Yes, that's what it is. Okay.
Or they don't land.
It's been a long time since I read this.
I was going to
And,
say, how do they come back? If
Yeah,
they
so they
land?
went around the moon, and then they came back. And card number 39, so they're coming back to Earth.
That should be Journey Around the Moon.
Yeah. Card number 39 is like they're, they come down in the ocean and they're picked up by a ship. And this is interesting. This is an interesting card because this is exactly what, this is Jules Verne. This is from Jules Verne's book and from his mind. 100 years or so before Apollo. And this is exactly what happened. When they came back from the moon, the capsule came back to Earth, landed in the water, okay, in the ocean. It was a target for it to go into the ocean, and ships came and picked it up. And that's exactly how Verne was a amazing, prescient person with a very original and very detailed mind who was able to pick up on things decades and decades and decades before they were ever even thought of or even put into operation or even dreamed up. I mean, this is a space program before anybody would ever think of having a space program. And here is exactly how our astronauts came back to Earth in 1969 when they had gone to the moon. And this is a card from 100 years ago about a story that was probably 75 or probably 60 or 70 years before these cards were made. That book was written.
Giving him a lot of credit. Maybe it was his wife's idea.
It could be, you got to say the women are very smart and they're also very talkative. But that's okay. We all love them. Card number 40, De la Tierra a la Luna, the Earth to the Moon. Number 40 is the celebration once the travelers have returned home. Card number 41, after the capsule has been located by the ship, the travelers are picked up from the capsule and they're going to shipboard. And the last card, number 42, is the victory card, the last card in the series. They're bringing the space travelers home on a special train in victory and success, and that was From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne. And they said it was in a special train that traveled at 80 leagues per hour. And the travelers were left to make their triumphant trip. And the heroes would surely have invented the category. Soon after the partnership of capital, $100 million was funded with the name of the National Society of Interstellar Communications. That was the translation of some of the back cover of that last card. I hope you enjoyed this little trip among these really rare non-sports cards. Chocolate, they were made available by Spanish chocolatiers in Spain. And they were one was in each package of chocolate that people would buy, and this was pretty cool science fiction story of Jules Verne, From the Earth to the Moon. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. While I was thinking about different books to I want to do a lot of books and rare books and vintage paperbacks and stuff with this YouTube channel, but every once in a while I want to do something special. And when I see something like, when I had this series, and I said, people got to see these, because I don't think anybody's ever seen these before, and they deserve to be seen, and people I'm sure that you'll enjoy them, and I hope you do. And if you do, give us a like and a thumbs up and tell your friends about the channel. Thanks a lot for looking. Thank you.